Welcome to Metaviews from Metavate Consulting. About us.
Hi, everybody. I have Nigel Pollard and Andrew Scully here from Metavate, and we're going to talk today a little bit about our backgrounds in the natural medicine and nutraceutical area. So, Nigel, would you like to start?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Con, and it's great to be here, and great to be with you, Andrew, as well. I started in the medicines industry in the pharmaceutical area actually in 1987, so 34 years ago, and over that over about 14 years I worked in pharmaceuticals in different countries around the world, particularly in Germany, where natural health products are part of the mainstream health system. And so in moving to Australia, I was intrigued by these kind of high-end prescription level natural products not being available on the market. And so I set up a company to bring those products to our first Australian consumers. And then eventually we were in 55 countries worldwide 18 years later. And the ethos of doing that was really to try to bring a higher level of evidence to such products, so proving that the specific product works in clinical trials and that it's made in a reproducible way, so each batch is the same from 1 year or one production cycle to the next. And that's hard to do. And this source to benefit controls to bring a reliable product and prove that it works is not for the faint-hearted, and we spend a lot of time building trials with you guys actually to do research to prove that our products worked. And now I've retired from that role, I'm really passionate about bringing more of these products to the market, and Metavate is about helping companies bring a higher level of evidence to their products and higher reliability too, proving them in clinical trials and making sure that facts and science drives business results and not celebrity endorsement or old evidence that's no longer relevant. So I'm really delighted to be working with you guys in Metavate. It's a really exciting time.
Okay, and what about you, Andrew? What's the history of your involvement in this sector?
Well, I think it's been about 30 years since I got my PhD, after which I started doing research into cognitive enhancement through methods like glucose loading and some work we did giving people oxygen to inhale and then showing that that could improve cognitive function. And then actually a company that Nigel worked with completely by coincidence independently approached me about sponsoring a PhD looking at their high-level products. I was very skeptical actually at the time, but was very pleased that I was able to design a series of experiments which were able to capture these effects. And I guess, like yourself, Con, one of the things I was very proud of is that I was able to conduct these experiments at a level which allowed them to be published in high-level journals, psychopharmacology journals, rather than kind of complementary medicine or alternative medicine journals, which is where the fairly weak literature to date had been published. And then after a series of studies looking at particularly botanical extracts and their effects on cognition, and in my case, it was mainly looking at acute effects, so the effects of single doses. I was recruited by Professor Con Stow at the then Brain Sciences Institute in Melbourne, so moved from the UK. And I think together we were able to really stamp our mark on this area and show that these natural products had as much, if not more, efficacy as pharmaceuticals. And I think particularly we were the first people to really apply high-level clinical trials of the sort that the pharmaceutical industry do to natural products for the brain. And I see Metavate as the logical next step in moving forward from that high level academic evidence to really translate it for the public good.
And Con, what about you? What about your story? How come you're part of Metavate?
Well, I think my background is similar to Andrew's, insofar as that, you know, we were very interested in understanding how we might improve cognition across the lifespan. So I've been an academic for 25 years and was essentially looking at pharmacological agents to improve cognition. Started off with pharmaceuticals, and then I couldn't find any pharmaceuticals that would improve certain neurotransmitter systems that I was interested in. And I became interested in nutraceuticals and plant-based extracts. We started doing clinical trials. My first clinical trial was on a German extract of ginkgo biloba called EGB 761, which is quite a famous extract in the plant world. And, you know, for the first time, we brought standardized neuropsychological tests to measure cognitive changes in healthy people using a randomized controlled trial design. And, you know, soon after we published that first trial on ginkgo biloba, I met you, Nigel, because you're very much interested in research and evidence base for natural products. And then we started working on a wide range of different substances. And then, you know, we had the incredible fortune of getting Andrew Scully over to over to Swinburne, and we created a huge team. And over the last 15 years, we've probably conducted close to 100 clinical trials on nutraceuticals and plant-based extracts, looking at cognition, brain function using Swinburne's 3T MRI, EEG, well-being, mood, cognitive performance using standardized tests. You know, and so, you know, in the early days, we started off with a sample size of maybe 50 participants, looking at chronic administration for 30 days. And my last trial with Andrew is something called ARCLY, which was funded by the Australian Research Council and a range of industry and even philanthropy. We administered a range of substances to healthy people for 12 months and a sample size of 500 people. So you can see the differences in scale of our research. And, you know, the first trial, we collected only neuropsychological or cognitive test data. In our last trial, you know, we collected neuroimaging, inflammatory markers, oxidative stress, genetics, you know, biochemistry, telomeres, cognitive performance, sleep, you know, a much wider range of outcome measures to look at mechanisms and data. So, you know, that's my background, and, you know, I'm so excited to, as Andrew also indicated, to really take this next step from just doing the research to helping industry understand research and translate research and help them in formulating new products for really great outcomes for the public.
Nigel, given your industry background, I wonder if you could just say a few words about what you think the advantage of a good evidence base is for industry.
Well, I think it's really selling products that work. In the end, that's the whole purpose. So people are buying them for a legitimate health reason. They're buying them for their families, for their loved ones, and they're doing so under the expectation that they do something positive for health. And that's not guaranteed. You know, there's a lot of variability in these naturally sourced products. So everybody recognizes, for example, that grapes are not the same product if they're a premium wine or vinegar or table grapes. They're all different. And that's the issue with natural health products, is that they're super variable and much more variable than the grape analogy. So with what people need, I believe, is reliable products, so they can be sure that they're essentially the same each batch, and that when they do that, a trial result done on a batch of products actually delivers a health benefit. And Metavate is an exciting opportunity, I think, to take that to the next level, because a lot of companies have challenges in relation to innovating in this space, because there are a lot of things to control, from the source of the raw material right the way through the way that the product is made, and then this sophistication of designing a formulation and a trial to then test whether it actually has a health benefit. So this whole, what we call source to benefit chain, is very difficult for a company to manage, because we're traditionally in industry, we're in different silos, so regulatory, R&D, marketing, supply chain, procurement, they're all different. So what we bring with Metavate is a kind of holistic oversight to help companies integrate all of those steps to make sure that they get the best, most reliable and highest evidence products to sell.
Thank you.
So Nigel, on one of those sort of related topics, I mean, why do people buy natural medicines or nutraceuticals that don't have a research basis?
That's a great question. I think there's a lot of confusion in the marketplace. So people believe that the regulators are taking care of the claims, and that the products are made reliably and have evidence to support them. And because of their complexity, it's actually not reasonable to expect a regulator to be on top of all of that, because they change so much over time. The evidence is developing so quickly that regulators can't get on top of the whole area of especially efficacy and product quality. They usually focus on safety, but people don't realize that. So when you're buying the product, I don't think you'd find people would deliberately buy products that don't have research evidence, but they believe that they do. And I think, I think the vision for the future is that it's better for companies if the products actually work, because they get customers coming back to buy more products. It's clearly better for the community, because hundreds of thousands or millions of people that take natural health products are getting a better health outcome than they would if they weren't taking them. And so everyone's a winner, provided that there's proper science supporting the product selection, and not celebrity endorsement or kind of fake facts to support the product benefits. So Metavate, we're here to change that, to take that to a higher level, help companies to support their products in a better way, and for consumers, we're here to help the consumer to identify such products as well, so they can make an informed choice based on evidence rather than hope. So Andrew, what's inspired you to such a successful career in natural health research and helping companies develop products?
I think one of the things that inspired me was the fact that many of the pharmaceutical solutions for cognitive enhancement and protecting against cognitive decline and dementia have really failed spectacularly for a number of reasons, including, I think it's a fundamental property of trying to modify single targets in the brain, whereas there are many natural products that seem to be able to nudge many processes in the right direction to help cognition. But in terms of inspiration, in terms of people, there is one person who Con and you and myself have known very well, who sadly passed away last year, and that's Keith Wesners, who developed a test battery which he applied to pharmaceutical products which both impaired and improved cognitive function in many populations. And I think there's a number of reasons why Keith is relevant to Metavate. The first is that he was extremely open-minded about natural products for cognition in the way that many of us weren't decades ago, and so was responsible for some of the early trials on ginkgo and ginseng, for example. And secondly, I think he was extremely enterprising, and decades before the university sector caught up, he saw the value in using a business model to fund really high-level research, and that's something that I think is fundamental to Metavate.
Yeah, I think just on Keith, I mean, he was really a pioneer in this area. He did some of the first trials. He applied the same rigorous cognitive batteries to both pharmaceutical and nutraceutical trials. And, he was a mentor for so many people in this area, for, three of us, but a whole generation of researchers who are now actively researching the effects of herbal and nutraceutical extracts on cognition and brain function. So, his legacy will last a very long time in this industry.
Yeah, Keith was also, from my point of view, as you just described, you guys, I think he sort of bridged the science and the natural. So this kind of best of both worlds, where proper science and rigor and a transferable tool could be used to actually prove that natural health products have some very potent and very valuable effects. And that kind of best of both worlds of science meeting nature is kind of what inspired me to be in this industry and to be part of Metavate as well, because bringing the power of science to natural health products, which are used the world over, in some countries by far more than synthetic medicines, and growing far faster than synthetic medicines in terms of their usage. This bringing science to that sector is the future, is the way forward, and it's going to help hundreds of millions, billions of people living on the planet. So Keith Westness was the kind of embodiment of open-mindedness, but scientific rigor, and I think he was a great inspiration for me too.
Thank you for your attention. For more information, visit metavate.consulting.